I was 19 years old. I'd just sunk my entire life savings into my dream business, and I was about to throw it all in the trash. This is the story of how a bunch of strangers on the internet almost killed that dream, and how a single message from another stranger saved it. I was at rock bottom, staring at a screen that just felt like a mirror, reflecting every single one of my insecurities right back at me. I was convinced I was a total fraud. Of course, it didn't start that way. It never does, right? It started with a spark, an idea that felt so right, so necessary. Called it Viridia. My mission was to create an eco-friendly streetwear brand that wasn't just about looking cool, but about doing good. It was my why. I wasn't just selling hoodies. I was selling the belief that style and sustainability could and should walk hand in hand. That you could literally wear your values. I was 19 and totally obsessed with this vision. Every penny I had, scraped together from 3 years of part-time jobs, went into Viridia. My entire life savings. I still remember the dizzying thrill of it all. The late nights sketching designs, the painstaking process of sourcing recycled cotton, and the heart-pounding moment I held the very first sample. It felt real, felt important. I poured everything into the photography, the website, the story. I had that beautiful, naive optimism that only a first-time entrepreneur can have. I truly believed that if I built something with passion and purpose, the world would get it. The message would resonate. I imagined this whole community of people who, like me, actually cared where their clothes came from. I wasn't just launching a brand. I was sending a signal out into the universe, just hoping someone else was on my frequency. The day I finally clicked launch on the website, my hands were shaking, but my heart was full. I thought, this is it. This is the beginning of everything. Well, the beginning of everything turned out to be the beginning of the end. At first, it was just crickets, a few pity likes from friends and family. But then, the comments started rolling in on social media, and they were brutal. A single negative review can spread like wildfire online, tarnishing a brand's reputation in an instant. And I wasn't just getting one. Eco-friendly. More like eco-ugly. My dude is charging $60 for a hoodie that looks like it's made of recycled cardboard. Pass. Then, a link to my store was shared on a popular streetwear forum. The title of the thread, "Get a load of this kid who thinks he's saving the world with beige t-shirts," it blew up. Hundreds of comments, each one a tiny, sharp jab at my dream. They ripped into the designs, the prices, the concept, me. Studies have shown that negative reviews can convince the vast majority of potential customers. We read talking over 90%. To avoid a business, I was watching it happen in real time. Every notification was a gut punch. With each new comment, that spark of passion I felt was being systematically snuffed out and replaced by this cold, heavy dread. The internet can be an echo chamber, and right then, all it was echoing was failure. This is when the real enemy showed up. Not the trolls in the comments, but the one inside my own head, my inner critic. Imposter syndrome is a persistent internal fear of being exposed as a fraud, and it's incredibly common among entrepreneurs. But I didn't have any evidence to fight it. All I had was a mountain of mockery that seemed to prove that little voice in my head right. "Who do you think you are?" it would sneer. "You're just a 19-year-old kid playing business. You're not a designer. You're not a CEO. You're a fraud, and now everyone knows it." The comparison trap was suffocating. I'd scroll through the feeds of successful brands, and all I could see was this massive, uncrossable canyon between them and me. They were legit. I was a joke. The business I had poured my soul into now felt like a public monument to my own inadequacy. I stopped checking emails. I stopped posting. The vibrant dream of Viridia had become a source of shame. I was defeated. I decided to quit. It wasn't some dramatic, tear-filled breakdown. It was a quiet, hollow resignation. I sat at the same laptop ID used to build my dream and drafted an email to the web hosting company to shut down the store. I wrote a short, bleak post announcing the brand was closing. My finger just hovered over the mouse. There was a weird sense of relief in giving up. The pain would stop. The humiliation would be over. And then a notification popped up. A single email. It's the subject line. Your growth in the cracks design. I almost ignored it, figuring it was just more hate mail. But something made me click. The message wasn't long. I read it once, then twice. The words slowly started to melt the ice around my heart. It said, "Hey Leo, I just got my hoodie. I've been searching for a brand that actually cares about sustainability, but also has a real message. Your growth in the cracks design." God, it spoke to me. It's been a tough year. And that simple image of a flower growing through concrete was a reminder that you can find strength and beauty in the hardest places. Thank you for creating this. It's made me feel seen. One single message. It was like a flare in the pitch black night. Anyone who's been through failure knows you have to find the lesson in the wreckage. You have to rewrite the narrative. And this email was handing me a new story. Of course, the inner critic was still there. There's just one person, it whispered. One person out of hundreds who think you're a failure. But for the first time, another voice fought back. The voice that remembered my why. But my goal was to make an impact. To connect. I just did. For that one person, this wasn't a joke. It was exactly what they needed. That was the turning point. That one message changed everything. It was a lifeline, and it made me wonder. How many of us are just one piece of validation away from giving up or pushing through? If you've ever felt that crippling self-doubt, that voice telling you you're not good enough, let me know in the comments. I want to hear your story, because I now know for a fact we are not alone. That email forced me to ask myself a huge question. What is success? I realized my definition had been totally wrong. I was chasing a fantasy of universal approval, of going viral, of an overnight explosion. I was measuring my worth by the volume of applause, so I was absolutely crushed by the volume of boos. But that one customer didn't care about any of that. He didn't know about the forum thread or the mockery, just saw a design that resonated with his own life and a brand that stood for something he believed in. And that's when I redefined success. Success wasn't about pleasing the crowd. It was about connecting with an individual. It wasn't about being for everyone. It was about being everything for someone. This is a marathon, not a sprint for instant gratification. My goal shifted from trying to build a massive, faceless brand to cultivating a small, passionate community. This whole process taught me 3 invaluable lessons. First, your inner critic is a bully, but it's also a coward. It loves vague fears of failure, but it folds against specific, tangible proof. That one email was my proof. It was a fact, and my inner critic couldn't argue with it. Now, whenever that doubt creeps in, I fight it with facts. I keep a log of my small wins. Every positive comment, every appreciative email. Second, stop trying to be for everyone. The market is saturated. The only way to win is to find your people. The guys who mocked my brand, they were never going to be my customers anyway. I was wasting energy trying to win over an audience that was never going to get it. My value isn't determined by the people who scroll past. It's defined by the people who stop and connect. And third, you have to constantly revisit and reclaim your purpose. When I was drowning in criticism, I forgot why I even started Viridia. It was never about being the trendiest brand. It was about purpose. That single email didn't just save my business, it reconnected me to my mission. I deleted the draft of my farewell post instead. The journey since then hasn't been a fairy tale. The brand isn't some multi-million-dollar empire. The self-doubt hasn't vanished forever. I've just learned it's a normal part of pushing your own boundaries. The negative comments still pop up now and then. But now, they're just noise. Because I have my signal. I have the memory of that one message and the handful of others that have come since, from people who get it. I focus on them. I design for them. I build my business for them. The fear of failure is still there, but it doesn't paralyze me anymore. It's just a reminder that I'm trying something that matters. So if you're out there, on the verge of quitting, staring at your own screen of doubt, my advice is this. Stop looking for the roar of the crowd. You listen for the whisper of that one customer, that one client, that one person who sees what you're doing and says, "Thank you. This mattered to me." Because that isn't just the thing that will save your business. It's the thing that will save you. It's not just the start of a business. It's the start of your real story. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more honest conversations about the real journey of building something from scratch. And maybe share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Get building.